January and it's really cold outside. The weather's taken quite a plummet in the temperature at the minute. I'm sat here by my log burner warming up. It's not very often the burner goes on in the afternoon, but it has done today. I've had a bit of a disaster this month. I prepared a really lovely video with some beautiful January sunrises on it. And some really nice images of the buds forming on the twigs. As you go out and about, you can see all the little buds forming. Some beautiful hazel catkins and the early shoots of nettles popping up. And what else was it? You could just see some of the cleavers beginning to grow. And as I'm walking about, actually, I keep seeing chickweed beginning to grow. But the disaster was that somehow on the transferal of videos from iCloud to my phone or whatever, which I don't really understand what I'm doing anyway because I am not great with technology, the videos got deleted and lost. So I'm going to link now to a video that I did a little bit after that I managed to keep, all about the snowdrops in January, and it's quite short. It's really nice. It's all about the folklore and what we can learn from snowdrops, and it's set in the most picturesque graveyard ever. So have a look at that, enjoy. I'll try and be more careful in February with my files and videos. I think that the hazel catkins will be still out anyway, and we might get some snow between now and then, who knows, but it won't be long till February because I'm late doing this exam. Oh, it's been one of those days. I'm late doing this video. So I'll see you very soon with February's. I'm just up at St Mary's Churchyard in Blidworth, my local church. I don't frequent the inside of the building very often, but I can be found hanging around this graveyard a fair bit, and that's because it's just got the most amazing energy and amazing views, and there's loads of really tall trees that attract loads of different birds, and at this time of year I like to come up and pay a visit because it's got a beautiful carpet of snowdrops, which is what I'm after today. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the folklore of snowdrops. So something else that I can show you while I'm here is the legend that is Will Scarlet, Robin Hood's friend and member of his merry men. He is apparently buried here, so I'm going to show you Will Scarlet's grave that is supposedly his. So let's go and have a look. Down this little pathway, and there it is, right in front of us. It's supposed to be the shape of an arrow, and looks like local people have planted some bulbs around it to flower around it at this time of year, although not many. And every now and again when you come, you do find a flower on it that somebody's left. So this is Will Scarlet's grave. It's supposed to look like an arrowhead. So there we are. So as we go along here, the snowdrops start, and they're just everywhere, ornamenting the really ancient graves that aren't visited anymore. So this is the part of the graveyard that I like to visit, the older part, and here are the most beautiful snowdrops, and such a glorious carpet at this time of year, and they are interspersed all over these old graves, all the way down to the bottom of the hill. It really is quite spectacular and done in a really haphazard way. I love this monument here of this angel that just sits overlooking the fields. So all these snowdrops behind me are a beautiful symbol at this time of year. Actually it's been quite mild, but usually these would be popping up out of the snow and the ice, and they symbolise to me fortitude and strength in the face of hard circumstances. So the little snowdrop, in France it's known as pièce neige, which actually translates as snow piercer, because it has this ability to be so dainty and beautiful and yet so firm and strong, to get up through the hardest of earths. And in pagan times, the snowdrop was a symbol of health and vitality, the green of it, and the white was the purity and the promise of the lighter nights and hope for the year ahead. And there's lots of lovely stories about snowdrops. One of my favourites is the German story, where the origins of the snowdrop having its strength in adverse weather conditions came from the fact that the snow, when the snow was born, it wanted a colour and asked the flowers to give it one of their colours. And all the flowers turned their back on the snow and said, no, on your bike, basically. You're cold and you're harsh and we don't want you to have our colour. And the little snowdrop said, well, certainly you can have my colour. And so they made a partnership, and the snow said it would always look after the snowdrop and it wouldn't be affected by the cold weather conditions. So that's pretty sweet. And really what's going on inside the snowdrop is that it has an internal antifreeze system that keeps it able to survive, which is really clever, and it generates its own warmth. Now, if you bring a snowdrop into your house, it won't last long because it will wither with the warmth. It much prefers to be out here, and in actual fact it's thought that it's not native to England at all, and it came probably brought by monks from alpine monasteries, which makes sense with its loving cold temperatures kind of personality. And also, to me, it does kind of look similar to the Edelweiss, which is found on the alpine tops. So taking it inside is not a good idea, but also for superstitious reasons too, because back in the olden days, and some people still believe this, it was thought that you should never bring snowdrops inside a house. If you did, then you would be a widow within a year. Probably because of its association with graveyards. They're commonly found in graveyards, and anything that was in churchyards was often viewed as being bad luck. So I have taken them inside before, and I haven't lost anybody, so we're okay there, but they won't last long if you do take them in. So a symbol of superstition. There is one day where it's acceptable to take them in, and that's on Candlemas morning on the 2nd of February. And Candlemas in Christian times is when the baby Jesus was presented, but it also lines up with Imbolc, which is the pagan ceremony at that time of year, which is quite interesting that the church always have their celebrations at the same time as the old pagan festivals. So some interesting things about snowdrops today is that they are being studied because they have properties of great value, and some of the studies that are being looked at the minute are to do with Alzheimer's. So that's something to look out for. And lastly, it's said that the snowdrop is at its best on Candlemas, so it should be opening up and looking its most pretty around Candlemas. That's the 2nd of February, and that it will then be taken over by the crocus on Valentine's Day. So we'll have to have a look out for those then. So the snowdrop, beautiful, symbol of strength and purity, and a real treat for the eyes at this time of year. It's telling us that spring's on its way. We might get a hell of a lot of snow yet though, but but around the corner, spring's on its way. This graveyard has the best view. I can see at least 2 different counties from up here. I can see all the way to Lincoln behind me, and Leicester as well, and over there the south side of Nottingham. It's very high up, very picturesque. I always think these souls are very lucky to have their final resting place here. So that's pretty much it for January. Things to look out for then at this time of year is listen out for the foxes, because the lady fox will be, the vixen will be shrieking rather loudly, trying to attract her mate, and you might hear the dog fox making short, sharp barks in reply. and that she will be receptive for about 3 days and be fighting off all the dog foxes that she's not interested in, and the dog foxes will be fighting between themselves, and then she will be selective and choose her appropriate mate. What else is going on at the minute in nature? Well, most animals are still, well, the hedgehog and the dormouse are still hibernating. The badger, who mates all year round, is tucked away, not hibernating but sleeping a lot. And the female badger has a delayed implantation, so although she may have mated a while ago, the egg will only just be implanting as she's getting more sleep in the den. So things are happening there. Birds, it's a good time for owls still. Look out for them on the posts along the hedgerows as you're driving along. They sort of perch there. And a good time if you live near an estuary to go down and look at all the birds there at this time of year. It's one of the best places for animals to find food, so it gets quite crowded down there. Good time to plant your trees, your fruit trees and your ornamental trees, and just look out for all the shoots everywhere and the little primroses, which translates as first rose. They are just beginning to open up and unfurl. So that's it for January. Message of the month then, if we're learning from nature of how to be a snowdrop. In the face of adversity and when things look bleak and a little lost and very difficult, be a little snowdrop. Pierce neige, pierce the snow, find your fortitude and your internal antifreeze because deep inside you there's something that can get you through the toughest of moments. So that's this month's lesson. I think it's important to get messages from nature. So last month we were being buzzards, and this month the little dainty but very strong snowdrop. So I'll see you next month. Hopefully there'll be some crocuses. Take care. Goodbye.